Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the SSL group stage. I know it's been a while, but my name is SiNO. I'll be doing everything behind the desk, and today we bring to you not just one BO1, not just two, not just three, but four. 4 games, one night across 2 leagues. It should be an absolute heater of a night. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first map. Where are we going? Ladies and gentlemen, our matchup will be on Chalet between Cold Fusion and Castaway X. Only one to prove your grounds. Should be an absolute banger. Make sure to get your votes in by either putting a 1 or a 2 to get a chance at showing your vote on stream. While we get these players situated into our lobby, we'll be back. I apologize for that delay, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally here. Map underway. And for those of you who missed the pre-show, today we have literally 4 BO1s. One possibly may get canceled, but 4 BO1s at the end of the day is a lot of Siege to play, and I'm excited to be here. The beginning of an amazing night. My name is SiNO, I'll be your caster, and everything behind the scenes here today for you. So if you do enjoy these types of broadcasts, make sure to show your love by either dropping a follow, subscribing if you're not, or just leaving a comment in the chat. Now, for those of you who are like, yes, SiNO, what are the matches here today? Now, it's not really complicated, but starting off on 4 different maps, it's absolutely amazing that we're going to see so much different varieties of Siege. Speaking of, though, we have 4 matches played out here tonight. Currently, you are looking at Cold Fusion versus Castaway X. Followed up by that will be within the same league, Lavish versus Way. And then it will be White Eclipse versus The Order over in another league. And by not seeing the 4th match, I can only assume the 4th has been abandoned and forfeited. So there will only be 3 games on broadcast here tonight, but still 3 confirmed maps at the end of the day. Should be an amazing time, and let's have a good night. Yesterday, we had the pleasure of casting the main roster for CC under the Castaway name, where they prevailed against a good team like 5.2. They got the job done. They proved that they were in it for the biscuit, and they continued to apply the pressure where it was needed, and a team like 5.2 crumbled under that pressure after they were only playing for the picks on a map like Bank. Now, Castaway X, I haven't seen them on Chalet, and I already like what I see. Usually you see both of these walls get locked off in console, and you'll have a player try to occupy top mez, but gets fried in 5 minutes due to a lack of utility. But now, they're integrating the Wamai due to his most recent buff, where he can now generate discs a lot faster, can also carry a C4, and you have that super shorty as well. So having him inside of Library is a huge asset to these defenders and to occupy top mezzanine. Alongside with that, you have the head holes that come in from the office's area, so any player in sight that has a DMR or good recoil control can assist by raining on bullets at the depth to get the job done here. Good job right now from these teams to bring the needed loadouts. As Cold Fusion, you can see that there are a couple of names that you'll recommend and recognize. As I was getting my R words mixed up there, as Canadian, haven't seen that name in a while, but a console OG holding one of the better angles right now, as Thermite now looks to find access into the building. Maybe a little bit harder knowing that there's this much pressure starting to amount, but will be stopped to take actual first damage off of the single window and can't really move forward or backwards due to the double cross coming in from the single window in Library. And the following in Slant. Now one player hits the ground and is already in Library. The question is, do these defenders know this? As Mersing holds the case, and one of the most important attacker roles on that hard breacher needs to be able to put his best foot forward to ensure that he doesn't fall early, which could be utter disaster for this team. Have the headle, so it could be a saving grace if he falls, and you can take as much out as you want, but still, they are being held off beautifully here, and by losing first pick as well, it just adds insult to injury. There's so much left to do. The pre-fire from Truly. Look at this execute. These players can't even get past the first layer of this defense. Cold Fusion. Now cold hands within the server. So much left to do and not enough time to do it in. Bodies hitting the ground and these defenders circle. But finally, Truly goes down as that gift for Cold Fusion to try to bring this back. You've been gifted an olive branch. The question is, what are you going to do with it? You still have the crosses insured. You still have healthy attackers. You can find that second cross, and that's exactly what they'll do. They'll rid of the 2 players that occupied Library and even out the scoreboard. But 45 seconds remain, and they've lost a good bulk of their utility, including the gridlock that could watch for the flanker that is waiting in Fireplace for somebody to make the mistake to get close to the breach without paying attention. No preset drones, but it looks like there was an attacker who is set up, and it will be Ryzen, but not for long. They know how much time they have to work with, so they need to be able to pivot on the go. Omniway has the ability to be the backstabber that causes hurt. As time continues to run down, Ryzen goes down offsite. They may not even need the flank, but it'll be good to have. Omni connects, iProne gets one in the meantime, leaving just KJ in library with 3 players holding crosses. He'll get the first, but a 3-way cross is nearly impossible to win, especially locked off in a corner like that. A beautiful round from Castaway X to open up the night. And Cold Fusion need to go to the drawing board to adapt. Those are the rounds that we like to see, especially with this team who hasn't been necessarily able to find joy throughout their times playing console competitive. I mean, they have been having a very hard time recently within certain areas of the map, and they haven't been finding joy with the record within the SSL, but right now they're starting to wake up. As you can see, they're hungry to find specific parts to pick apart a defense, and they're doing a great job at it. I like Chalet from Castaway X. This is hands down one of their better maps as far as site setups go. They're doing a great job at this. A good opening round to show us how the pacing of this event will go. But Chalet is, make no mistake, a map that will fall apart if you have absolutely no build-up. And right now, for a team like Cold Fusion, they look like they have the right ideas, but are not able to find joy in the first round. Might be able to say something else for the second map as they're looking for real estate, and they've been given it. He's planting in the smoke. He doesn't really care. Mersing will put it down before he'll fall, but Omniway is counter-defusing, not before taking slight damage to the toxic bait by his own teammate, and Canadian finishes off the job. An execute within 30 seconds of the round, and so well thought out that they're looking to win this out right now as the toxic babes continue to actively work against them. Ryzen reestablishing the man count for his team. You have this one player on the rappel. That's your biggest issue. Kiz, in the meantime, will get rid of Ryzen. 2-on-2. Both players occupy outside of library. Canadian gets rid of the first, leaving just Truly on the window to isolate 2 separate gunfights. Nearly impossible as no one wants to swing. He's past the counter defuse time, and to add insult to injury, he'll take damage, and Canadian finishes off the job. Both of these teams have come to play, and it's evident in their playstyles. What a round in response to losing out the first. Beautiful from Cold Fusion. They've been given that lifeline to reestablish some pressure. All they have to do now is just stick to it. They'll head back to the same site, and hopefully with a contingency to deal with that level of pressure that early on in the round, because they were very unprepared for the amount of pressure being built up in that corner of the map. But gotta give credit where credit is due. That pressure applied so early on by Cold Fusion essentially gifted them the round. Hopefully they're able to continue to stack up that pressure and continue to see how they play this out. Now Omni a little interesting considering the reason they lost that last round is because there was so much pressure applied off of site that your win con couldn't really see through the smoke. So having your Warden off site is a interesting pick, especially when he's discovered that early on and overclocked by the Soliton radar, having absolutely no position advantage over this team. Could be causes for concern, especially with a team that has resilience, has experience with players that have been around in console comp longer than I've been casting. So they may just need to go about taking their time, slowly but surely. Minute burned off the clock. And Mercy makes his presence known as now Cold Fusion know that that rush was a one-off. And it's all about playing it very one-minded. You have to play it like the default clearance, and it's working right now as you've managed to isolate Omni and his health. Monty finding free access into Mez can continue to give out the free comms, but the idea should be not allowing him to get isolated because it could lead to an unwanted death that will continue to cause pressure. Now Canadian opens up the kill feed 90 seconds into the round and rids of Truly as it's deep in library, but Ryzen instantly goes down to Omniway. Now Monty's forced to isolate, taking the first hits of damage, but will re-extend. Doesn't want this player to de-engage, but will win that gunfight. So will Kiz, but Omni will fall in response, putting a one-man advantage right back into the hands of Castaway X. The players peel off, but they know they have the case, so one player could stay upstairs and continue to apply the pressure. But no, they'll continue to try to waste out the time by falling off and ensuring that their utility will do the job for them. Full Toxic Babes for iProton can continue to rely on those to deny areas. Hopefully, that can find a certain part of the map. Now Astro takes it upon himself to grab the case and look for different players along the map, but it could be a little bit more difficult considering the amount of pressure building up as they're below a minute with no direct intel on the players that sit within except for these death marks, and that player is completely running away. He's wasting the death marks and pulling the Deimos away. They know somebody's going to come from 45, so they have to be weary. But the question is, do they know where the other players are? Now they'll land on the front doorstep of site. One will drop the hatch and one access it through the main door. Jaeger not even looking. Headset might have died before this game even started as Astro easily finds a kill, but one player will reestablish control. Needs to deny the plant. You'll get rid of the cover, but Astro looks to stick it down. The shotgun shell says no before it could even start. Counter defuse from iProne. Made the executive decision to flank, and it'll pay off dividends. Castaway X respond with a round of their own. What a game this has been. These teams continue to go back and forth. Proper Siege is being played. I mean, I know I've said it a couple of times in the last couple of broadcasts, but I mean, the quality of console has really skyrocketed from the last time I was here from, I think it was 2024, 2025, early stages of 2025, where teams were just kind of running and gunning, where that is still present, yes, but just look at the quality that we get to see. These teams know what they want to do, they know how to put it forward, and then from there they continue to grind it out, and that honestly shows the difference between teams that have coaches and don't, and I'm like 95% sure both of these teams do have them, so what a way it's being played out. Castaway X have now established the lead. And if I'm not mistaken, Kiz has gone from CC to Castaway XO to the secondary team. I could be mistaken, as there have been a lot of roster moves that I have had no idea about, but it is what it is. For those of you just tuning in, this is the first game of many. We have 3 matches up ahead, 2 within this league and 1 external, but still, you'll have a good amount of teams that know what they're doing, that will turn up the heat for the viewers. You guys should be excited to keep this show running along. Now Mercy looks to find Daxus, gets hit by the F-Naught. Can't really see. Kiz is gifted a kill on a silver platter. Have to really ask yourself what the idea was there from Mersing, as now they've lost one of the shield operators. And KJ left to operate on that blitz surprise element by his lonesome. Not what you really want to see this early on in the round, so hopefully we'll kind of see them actively adapt as the round and the time continues to clock down. Now time slowly continues to tick down, and these guys know that vertical needs to be taken care of, especially with the presence that has been established on Solar and shooting up from the hatch. Sometimes bullets rain up from below as Omni gets 1 and 2. Hey guys, if it doesn't work once, what in the world made you think it was gonna work on the second attempt? Astro gives his team a sliver of hope. It may not be a lot, but it's something. 2v4, and Castaway X continue to reap within this site. As finally, the players spring into action, and Astro and Canadian putting in overtime. The only 2 players that are positive on their team try to reel it back in, and will close the deficit from 2 bodies to just 1. Hopefully they're able to continue to do so. Otherwise, this round may be over before it even started, as you lost your shield operator so early on that it's disastrous to the overall site integrity. Now, the site is upstairs, which means trying to blitz your shield ops in through Solar and losing them this early means you lose control of using those shield ops anywhere else, whether it be mezzanine or trying to fly in the site from K9's side. You're forced to do the jobs that they can do with a bulletproof shield. Now, one player to worry about, it's Omni. He looks away at the wrong time, and Canadian, oh, he's cooking up. Always the Canadians within competitive that show us how it's done. First it was Trip that was on 20, close to 20 kills for the main CC roster. Now it's Canadian against the Castaways team, looking to put in the pain. Has just broken a 3 KD within the server and has evened things out. But they don't have the case, which means they have to go for the picks unless they can get to that case in a manageable time, which I cannot assume will happen without crossing the site. Now, iProne gets Astro and needs to just not swing, but missed that memo. No rotate. Sometimes that screws teams over, but that might work into the favor of Castaway X. Sop just needs to win this gunfight and robs Canadian of a clutch to remember. Castaway X continue to put in the pain, and Cold Fusion rely on 1 player, and that's just not enough. They'll fall 2 rounds behind. A good way to start this game off. These teams are not messing around, but just look at how either side continue to apply the pressure. But Castaway X, from a team who hasn't been able to find joy in the last couple of weeks, to apply the pressure round in and round out to force 1 player to resort to individual prowess and for it to just crumble each and every time. I mean, wow, look at them go. This is what I meant, guys. I said this literally a month and a half ago. Teams may struggle when they're starting to first mesh together, but all it takes is 1 good coach and some new strategies and consistency to not rip your team apart to find joy. And look at them now. For those of you who like Siege merch, I've just released a line with different operators, 3D printed. It glistens when you shine a light on it. Do !merch and use Caster10 to get 10% off on your first order to support this brand. As we're looking to diversify, we're having a good time. We just want to give back to the community. Now, we'll head on over to arguably the less preferred site, or the least preferred site on this map, considering there's just so many different assets you have to worry about. One being the verticality, the other being the 3 breaches. And then the overall meshing of the site that connects the two bomb chassis, which is just two soft walls and a connector. Not really a lot that you can worry about. So hopefully they'll continue to show us what they're all about and how they can manage to do damage control. But right now, this team is looking to get the job done. Hopefully they're able to continue to establish pressure onto their other halves. But look at this roster. So much traps are set up. With the first boogie drone going in, the players on the uppermost floor could be the biggest issue here. Still so much left to do. Now 90 seconds remain, and they haven't even found Truly yet. As Malusi continues to just ring around the Rosie upstairs and maybe able to just catch out Gridlock if KJ is not aware of what the idea here is. Now, shifting our focus onto the main idea of the pressure, which will be the idea of pushing the players out of trench, which you will do successfully, getting rid of that clash. But that shield is still up, and the taser hasn't even been utilized yet. You're getting closer to a minute, and there's still so much pressure left to be applied. No track stingers will be put onto the backstairs, so if Gridlock loses her life, it could be all over from here. Now Astra will get rid of the win con here for the defenders. The attackers will get rid of the clash as well, and they've opened up the entirety of the site. What a blitz still hit. No absolute response. This is a flawless round hit with a flurry of kills, a sea of blue in the kill feed. Cold Fusion hit at once and close down that deficit to 1 round. This game continues to go blow for blow, and these guys continue to impress me. Resilient from both ends. But Cold Fusion just gaining an edge on these players, and Castaway X can't walk away from that round. Now they'll need to win this out if they want a positive defensive win rate to go for it, too. Otherwise, they'll just be broken even. Good first half. So we approach the last round within it. Hopefully we can see some absolute passion in this last round that would continue to show us how good this game really is. Good to see how this will play out. The site has been arguably the most chaotic among all of them. I'm excited to see. We've had one rush plant. We've had almost a turn of events on a 4-2. So let's see how that'll play out and how the pressure will continue to apply on these players. As the further you get into a BO1, the more the pressure amounts. Endurance isn't really a testament on this game, but it's short, so you need to know how to pace yourself. Otherwise, before you even know it, this game's over. First pick opened up by Canadian shortly after they blow that shield up on blue, meaning they have a good amount of access. Let's see if they continue to push through, because they're doing a good job of being able to establish areas, but no shield up, so it looks like it's going to be more of a direct push to split the attention and then fork into the site. Now these Candelas go loose, no ADS as Astro will get another kill in 45 control. It's all in the favor of the attackers, but Omni will get one onto Canadian and get out of dodge. Run into the real estate that he's established for himself. A minute 40. And the attackers take control of the uppermost floor, but they'll lose the player that had the positioning to force so much pressure downstairs. They have 90 seconds to make magic happen. The Toxic Babes could be their biggest issue, but Omniway doesn't look like he wants to stop. Will go for a second flank, could find a double, but decides not to get overzealous and will fall off completely. A beautiful read of pressure as now Castaway X lost 2 bodies and have decided to even it out for themselves. They'll go out of their way to reestablish an evened out man count. That's exactly what you want to see, especially when you have this momentum. Now you want to slow down. Now you want time to slowly just tick down and run this clock down. Now 50 seconds remain, and these players continue to show us what it means to be patient, to wait for an opportunity to present itself. Omniway, the obvious MVP of this round, as he currently sits at a 2 KD and looks to continue to put in the pain and pressure, constantly looking for opportunities while the players stay pivoted out in the site. Could find his 3rd of the round, as nobody knows. Hey guys, maybe it's time to bring a gridlock if one guy can flank you 3 times. Finished off, he's on a quad. Ryzen hits the ground in sight, but doesn't have the case to work with. Only 20 seconds. Now for the player that sits in sight, it should be a game of ring around the rosy. With the toxic waves you have to establish all of this pressure, the pre-fire will connect, he'll down him. The question is, does he know? 10 seconds remain, you're in the red time, and you need to hunt this player down. Omni reads and establishes all of the real estate needed to show this. Now, the Soliton radar could come in clutch. It's a quick read to know exactly where he comes in from, but he can't even land fast enough to put the plant down. These rounds continue to get closer and closer, but Castaway X, by the skin of their teeth, fall off with a 4-2 split. This game has been nothing short of a miracle. Arguably one of the best matches I've watched so far on console, even if it is a 4-2 split. The score does not reflect what we've been seeing in the server. Both of these teams really showing us how it is done as they continue to apply that pressure round in and round out. We'll head on over to Kitchen as our last... Oh no, I was going to say the last site for Castaway X, but I just realized the score too. How silly of me. We'll head on over to Kitchen for the first defensive campaign for Cold Fusion, and if they attack and defend the same way, I just would not be surprised if this game got closer to OT. Interesting on the site setup. The headles are quite common, but the all across ones are a little intriguing. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Immersing yet to find joy in the server, but maybe defense is the calling card that he needs to find joy. Castaway X need 2 rounds to establish match point, and I would not be surprised if they found it. All they have to do is apply pressure in the right areas, dissect the attacks correctly, and they'll find joy. Time continues to run down against them, but they don't look too stressed as they already have one player in the faces of these defenders. And with a bulletproof shield, you can kind of take the risks to get these pings out onto the players that reside upstairs, and by doing so, you continue to make it a problem that they have to continue to look for you round in and round out. All quiet on the western front as they continue to do the prep work to clear out certain players. Now Omniway has the ability to open up this kill feed, but needs to be wary of any players holding the crosses. Right now you have an isolated gunfight onto this bandit. You also have to worry about this half wall, as if you swing in wide to TCSG, the long range will destroy you. Monty needs to make an executive decision, just walks in and fries him? What is that? KJ falls as well. What in the world did I just watch? Arguably one of the best executes I've seen to rid of the players upstairs. As now SiNOTWTCH have all of this real estate to work with plenty of time. If they just maintain the body count, they can play verticality, they can establish the breach opened out, and they can force all of the util dumping in a good amount of time to work with. Now having Mersing could be the biggest problem because that C4 is nearly unshootable, especially when it flies out from below with no Thatcher. You've just exhausted your remaining EMPs on the breach. Now half a minute remains. It seems like they know somebody is downstairs, but you're going to have to plant in an irregular spot if you want to evade this C4, because right now that's the win con for these players. Now, he will see the head of the player below, but the question is, did he see the Velcro that was ripped from right below? Getting closer and closer to the red time, and it will continue to become a little bit of an issue. If they can deny this player, it's round over! A beautiful denial! They haven't gone down a single man. Now, truly, a big blunder by just planting in the middle of the room and expecting something different, but it'll be Kiz to say goodbye, good night! Rem finishes it off as well, and Sublime executes from SiNOTWTCH. I mean this wholeheartedly when I say this is among my top 10 casts of all time. Absolute perfection in the executes. Look at them go. And I say that obviously with bias because you look at how it started off 4 weeks ago, nearly a month ago now, when they were struggling to find a pick. And now they're heating up with just a couple of changes in the roster. With minimal changes to their playstyle, they're playing this game absolutely flawless. And SiNOTWTCH will attack the same site. Wouldn't be surprised if they found Joy, as they'll be allowed to use the same exact roster until the 9th round, where the 3rd and final bans will come on. For those of you just joining us here today, I will be your solo caster behind the mic. My name is SiNO. For those of you that are not familiar with me or my face, you'll see it in the post-show. We have 3 matches here tonight. This is just the first, and it continues to get better and better, so make sure you stay tuned all the way over to each and every game. In between matches, we will have predictions for you to be able to get yourself on the stream as the polls show, and whoever's right gets a good old high five. Debate with whoever you want in the comments. Continue, chat, not really comments, but continue to show your love for the team that you're supporting tonight. They continue to go back and forth, but right now Cold Fusion have lost their edge, and they're just being shut out at every single turn they have. Can't get over the Monty just sprinting in full speed and getting rid of that player. Not something you will expect, especially when you see a TCSG aimed at the cross. Beautiful damage control as well, and now Canadian may meet his maker a little bit earlier. The joke's on Omniway. He tries to lurk, but no bueno, as he'll get his health shredded off from Solar. But in the meantime, Kiz opens it up on Fireplace and truly hits KJ. These kills are coming in so fast, I don't even know where they're coming from. Truly is truly the truth. As they'll fry 2 players off of offices via piano window. 75 seconds remain, and they have so much time yet again to do what they want. No Ram this time around, but they have the vert control if needed. The C4 still remains their biggest issue, but guess what? It's not coming from basement this time. You'll have Ryzen on the uppermost floor and Astro to do damage control on site. If you haven't located Warden, it might be an issue, but the player that took so much effort to get upper control, they took damage from that experience, so they should be able to narrow down where this player could be sitting. Monty hits the ground, and now they know what the general idea is. They have one player upstairs. Astro goes down, or takes care of Omni. Wayne doesn't go down, my apologies. But in the meantime, Top will get rid of Ryzen upstairs. That WinCon is a surprise, but Astro will get two. But that plant's going down. C4 comes in, but lands a little bit too short, as now you're in a post-plant situation, and the attackers are back up to full strength. They have every asset in their benefit that you could possibly dream of. Astro getting his health shredded down. One by one will isolate, but iProne is ready, and his weapon has been drawn since. Castaway X, it gets better and better for them. And you can only imagine the joy in the call as they go up to the match point. For a game that reads this scoreline, it doesn't feel like it at all. But recently, Castaway X have been showing us why that scoreline is in fact correct, as they have not let up the gas since they've been winning these barn-burning rounds. They continue this pressure, this pacing. This game is over before it truly starts, as Cold Fusion had a nice hot streak, but right now just cannot find joy regardless of what they do. Potentially the final round to this game, and it may end before we see the third and final bans and the rounds hit double digits, which would be a little disappointing, but I mean, sometimes you just can't argue with coordination. Cold Fusion need a miracle to be able to reel this one back in. Denari being seen for the first time this game, which is a little refreshing to see, a little bit easier to be able to utilize these prisms to get rid of any players that try to lurk up Solar or throw util into Piano. Could be a nice little pseudo Jaeger to run this utility out. Now Canadian placing all of his electrical wires down and getting out of dodge, which could be a big problem for these attackers if they haven't done their due diligence, because he could just land a C4 from below, but it doesn't even look like that's where they're focused. Gridlock has touched the ground downstairs and has set up a flank, because it looks like a Solar push is the main idea here. The Razor Blooms present themselves as the biggest enemy right now of the team, as Monty is going to have a great time dealing with them. First Banshee located, and truly has the opportunity to get a very easy kill, but who needs it? This man is a weapon on Monty, as he continues to show how it's done. Now Canadian trying to find the win con, and could, if he gets rid of the first player, does so indeed, but in turn gives away his location and is forced to get out of dodge or commit fully. And it looks like it'll be the latter. All the attackers go back to the ideas of how to control Solar to the best of their ability, because they know they still have the man advantage, but if they neglect Canadian for too long, it becomes an issue that they have to worry about. Now the C4, the Velcro's ripped, and it lands on Monty's front doorstep, but it doesn't take him down. But Astro will take full advantage that he's lost most of his health and will continue to apply the pressure. An easy time to take the health off of Truly as well, and the man advantage is lost. Ryzen will get rid of Truly, and this is a beautiful round by Cold Fusion. Canadian is running circles around these attackers. Omni remains solo downstairs. You brought two flank watch operators, and you didn't account for the fact that somebody could just punch them if you only put the track stingers on 45. Now Omni forced to isolate, will always win that gunfight. Has just below half a minute left. Do find Joy. Has no utility to burn with the Denaris, but he can just walk up and shoot him. This time continues to run down against him, but if you want somebody to win this, it's the one that sits at 12 and 5. Now Plant is being heard to go down. Could decide to isolate the swing. Looks like you have a general idea of where that player is. But Astro, hands up to you, my friend. First free fire doesn't connect, but you don't need it. Headshot connects a little too smoothly. And by the skin of their teeth, no rush will apply. And Cold Fusion hang on for one more round. Final bans come in, and not a surprise in the slightest that Monte is taken off the board, leaving Blitz and Blackbeard as viable options. And let's see what iProne's idea will be. Now, Clash could be an issue, especially on a site like Kitchen, and granting freedom to a player like Canadian could also be a very, very large issue. But no, the shield ops will not be seen any longer from the players on Castaway X, and they'll look to approach the site in a different manner. CC, your team, your brothers on the same org need your motivation, and hopefully Crypto's here so we can just make fun of him and his internet. But shots aside, Castaway X need this round to prevent any form of pressure from arising, as something I like to say is that when you see a team down 2 to 6, 3 to 6, they have nothing to lose at this point, so they continue to just do what they want. Going round in and round out, you continue to apply that pressure, so let's see how they'll play this out. Now, you may be wondering why I'm focused on Mersing is because he's currently 0-8 and could be on the Canadian role, could be the IGL, could be the shield op. I mean, I never know, and that's why I never like to judge. Could be the idea that saves them from a lot of losses, so I'm excited to see how this will play out. First blood will land for Kiz. The silence is broken from a player on Castaway X. That's exactly what they'll want to hear. They want to continue to build up this pressure. Now 90 seconds on the board, and losing Canadian, big problem. You still have your top fragger as Astro. Rid of Kiz in the refrag, and KJ hits onto Omni. Oh my god. Minute 20 left on the clock, and now the pressure has started to apply tenfold onto these players on Castaway X. Losing a player like your Grim this early on could mean the difference between a victory and another round. As Clash peeling off, as well as another bad thing to see when your time continues to run low. Just below a minute left and 2 players remain upstairs. These guys were doing so well at being able to establish this pressure, but now iProne is able to pseudo-isolate the players by closing off that Aura barricade. Could just wait for something to happen here. Now the drone will locate out the player, and Clash will repower upstairs. The main breach will be opened up, and the Clash will drop down as well, dividing the attention and the pressure as Truly delivers a blow at the long range onto KJ. 20 seconds remain, and these players continue to apply that pressure Thatcher could shut the shield down. Doesn't do damage. All you have to worry about is the shield getting placed, and that's exactly what will happen, but Mersing can do nothing about it. Ryzen looking for the flank, but it won't even be needed, not even from below, as Astro rips them truly in the red time. You guys need a miracle, and it won't happen. You'll just have bullets rain down on your parade. Astro to clean up the round, and damage control sought out by CastawayX as they're 2 away from going to overtime. Cold Fusion. You're starting to give the opposing team cold sweats. Let's see if you can continue to apply this pressure, and I have no doubt in my mind you can, but it's just about not losing your eye on the target, because one slip, you are going home with no points tonight. So the potential to do something great here lies in your round-to-round basis. Hopefully that's not pressured, but if it was to be anything, it would be a hell of a lot of pressure for these teams to deal with. CastawayX, their pacing slowly starts to slow down, but they built themselves up a buffer so they'll get the full benefits of it. Mistake after mistake, you get to learn what you're doing wrong and apply it onto your next round. So hopefully that's the situation going on here. Otherwise, there's a lot more to worry about. See how this will play out. All quiet on the western front as these teams continue to apply pressure. Excited to see how this will place themselves in the round with little to no time to work with, but see how this will play out. First blood strikes as Omni rids of one, but Mersing with the shotgun at the close range as he finally opens up his round. 10 rounds later, it's the first and the 11th. As now it's evened out, and they no longer have a hard reach to work with, but on this site, not really something you guys need to worry about. So damage control should be your main idea to reestablish the man advantage. If there's somebody you want to lose on this site, it probably is the Thermite, as so much more intel and pressure is offered by all of these operators, but Ash just needs to do the job of lurking, and right now that's being done beautifully. If you can rid of this sentry, you find joy, but you look away at the wrong moment, and by moving this much and given away by the cam, you'll lose all of that pressure, all of that notoriety that you built up throughout that round. Now time continues to run down slowly but surely. CastawayX need to get rid of Warden or Sentry if they want to be able to make a timely execute. But Kiz continues to hesitate. It could be the difference maker, but by isolating the players into library and compartmentalizing the isolations, they'll be able to find joy easier. Omni rids of Mersing to make matters worse, rids of the utility and the player, giving the man advantage right back to CastawayX. Kiz, you need to wake up. Stop doubting yourself and just swing. Could have had a kill onto that Warden, but no. Now second opportunity presents itself, but decides to instead opt for an isolated gunfight, but Canadian goes up and takes care of two. Would have never happened if the coordination between the lower and the upper floor players would have gotten on the same, but right now it's just Omniway to continue to tear up the site. looks to continue to apply the pressure to win this one out for his team. You guys need to react here and now as the time continues to tick down, and you haven't cleared out the player that sits in connector. One goes up on the vert. The question is, will Omniway get it before the timer expires? No! The plank goes down, but no one's there to protect it. Cold Fusion, you're doing something impossible in Castaway X. It's disastrous. There's no possible way. This advantage continues to crumble apart. They started off so well, but one ban of the Monty completely flipped the plot and the storyline, and now they'll be forced to mitigate these circumstances. All you need to see is iPro and hop on Blitz or Blackbeard, and I assure you, you'll find some form of joy. Castaway X need a round of a miracle to prevent overtime, as now this Cold Fusion roster has closed down a 4-round deficit to just 1. These guys continue to battle it out within the server, and they're doing a great job at doing so. Right, may I add. Continue to challenge each other, and that's what makes these types of games great. We just have to see who has enough to finish it in the end. Quiet on the western front as well. Either side decides what the main idea might be to continue to apply this pressure. And although this game may be over, guys, remember, we still have 3 more to go tonight. Nothing short of action will be played out on stream. Come on, we don't settle for absolutely no games, as more than one will be played out tonight across 2 different leagues. Might have a 4th if the players decide to play it out here today. Focusing on the current, Canadian has the ability to do what he did 4 rounds ago, which is establish good amounts of pressure, but gets caught out trying to melee out the track stingers. Yes, it's a lot more silent, but it does completely expose you and still give away an audio cue. Omni gets rid of Ryzen at 3v5, 90 seconds left, and it could be the end of this map, but we know this team is resilient. We know what they can do and how they can do it in. They'll just sit back and relax and wait for the next opportunity to present itself, and let's see who will find it. Now Omni, rids of KJ, a 2v5, and Astro. You are now your team saving grace, and you'll probably need to break 20 kills to get this done. You need to get rid of the Blitz. Will do so. iPro will fall. A minute is left, but Kiz doubles down, gets rid of Mersing. Can't even get rid of the next before Kiz goes nuclear by the skin of their teeth. When all hopes were beginning to subside, this team reels it back in, brings it back, and shows us how it's done. Castaway X finally are able to break their bad luck streak and win one out in regulation. And quite stylish, may I add. 18 kills for one player and 17 on the other side of the coin. None of that action would have been recorded. But wow, what a game that is. I told you, with time, resilience, and commitment to one team, any team can be great. And Castaway X have shown promise since the first week I've casted them. An amazing game, Cold Fusion, valiant effort, to be honest. Had my heart skipping a little bit. They almost rejected the narrative, but they couldn't. Leaving us to the conclusion that we still have another game to prep after this. We'll keep it a surprise, but we'll get the players situated into the lobby and we'll bring you the second game of the night after this swift break. Make sure to follow if you're enjoying so far. welcome back to the pre-show or the post-show. It's the pre-post show. As we finish our first game and now we go on into our second. My name is SiNO, and today we bring to you SSL group stage. Yeah, I know we've been through this already, but you know, we have to just continue to move it after each game. So this is our second game of the night. I don't think anything tops that last game. An absolute barn burner taking us to max regulation. Now we have LST Way versus Lavish. Should be a great day, a great time. Without further ado, what map do we go to, you may be asking? Well, none other than Consulate. Has been very common on console recently, but Consulate's always a fun map to watch. Without further ado, get your votes in. Remember, by putting in a 1 or a 2, you can have a chance to display your vote live on broadcast, and from then on, you can continue to participate within the chat. We'll get these players situated, and by then, you should have your vote in. Lavish versus Way coming up next. Sorry about the wait, ladies and gentlemen. Some technical difficulties came up, but we'll get our players in the lobby all situated. I've been informed that Wei is going to be playing with a player down for this entire game, so they'll be playing out a 5v4 for this BO1, and it is no longer a triple header or a quadruple header, as the game after this one has been forfeited due to unable to field a full roster. So usually on PC, where I usually cast, is if 5 players can't show up, it's an automatic forfeit, but I guess in console there's a little bit more leniency with that, so this game will be allowed to continue because they didn't want it to just be one game, but the other will be forfeited as both teams don't have any players to field whatsoever, so we'll just have to do what we can with this game, unfortunately being the last one of the night. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Both these teams are more than experienced and have been around for quite a long time, so I'm excited to see what they have to offer us. Should be an enticing game for us to watch. We'll head on into our first round. Now, Consulate, I was mentioning before in the pre-show, always seems to be such a common map on console, which I don't understand, because it's actually pretty hated among the PC community, so excited to see how this one will play out. As we head on into our first round, lots to prove from Wei. If they could manage to pull off a 4v5, I would imagine this would be a hilarious outcome to the match. So we'll see how that'll play out. I'm assuming it's going to be a full blitz into the site. This could be a very well 7-0, maybe a 7-1 to give some slack to any rounds being thrown out the window. First blood opened up by Mikey to give his team 2-man advantage. They can continue to double down as time is slowly but surely being run down, and the Denari Prisms will block off long haul to any player that learns the frag grenade does not rid of these lasers, so West is going to have to either shoot or frag. Right now, shoot 2 out of the 3 Denaris. They're going to have to deal with the good brunt of the damage. Now, Mikey doesn't want all of them to be shot, so he'll try to help out that one player. Frag comes out, but you'll rid of Alejandro in the meantime. Koimetsu sends a C4 loose, but goes onto the framing of the door. And Ogoyo won't be able to rely on the Volcan canisters and the flames to deter these players from entering through this door. Oh, another gunfight on long desk, but it's 2-man advantage as these players continue to fight back and forth, but they've been able to establish just a 1-man deficit, which isn't too bad considering that's what they were working with in the beginning. Now, no, we'll get rid of JK. Now, reestablishing a 2-man advantage, but the Toxic Babes continue to smoke out this Thermite. These players continue to lose their health one by one. There is no way, possibly in hell, that Lavish were going to lose that round. Very interesting emotions as 3 separate play differentiating making plays have been executed in just one round, but it ends with Lavish getting the first quite easily. A bit of a struggle mid-round, but they'll eventually prevail, and now they'll go on to greener pastures as this game proceeds. Again, 4v5 is not really ideal, but I really am very sad that our quad cast has turned into a doubleheader. It would have been my first cast where I've done 4 separate matches across 2 leagues. And, yeah, see how that'll play out. They would love to be passionate about a 4v5, but really does take away from like the specialty of Siege, knowing that these players are automatically playing with a disadvantage. So a little bit unfortunate to see, but hey man, if you get to see a good amount of Siege, it's going to be a very good time. Now, same site will be played out. They almost had it in the bag, and they'll rid of the shields as well, just leaving Blackbeard on the board, which this team will continue to bring. And by being able to establish first blood, you'll tie things up, meaning it's a lot easier to establish this lead. What you have to do is just maintain the body count and force these players to come to you. Minute in. Time slowly but surely being burnt off. Still no Goyo to be brought. Wow, drive-by by Koimetsu to find a double. Looking for that triple, but will shave off the health of these players. If he could jump out this window, he would. But the time continues to tick slowly, and somehow Wei have managed to establish so much pressure without having to lose a single body, as they now go nuclear within the server, leaving just Jake by his lonesome, but it's a flawless round from the 4 players. Might be a little bit more of a competition than we had bargained for, as they are putting the pedal to the metal. And dare I say, they might have a chance at this. An interesting game as of now, as these guys trade in very interesting manners. As a 4v5 should ultimately never be lost. I mean, on console attack, yeah, it's understandable, but if you find yourself losing more and more rounds and you end up walking out of a split where you don't have the positive, then that's causes for concern, and damage control will need to be executed. Otherwise, you're going to be having a hard time when you're the ones that are defending. See if this will play out. Now, I haven't casted a Wei game in a really long time, ever since it was what, ISO Wei on this team, Zello Wei. Is that what they mean? I have a hard time keeping track, but there was a time in life where this team was very aggressive, but right now, this could be the reason why they win the game. If they play with a certain level of aggression, they can find joy. But it is all up to these players within the server, because they need first pick every single time to be able to establish some form of edge over your opponents. You guys are enjoying so far. We do cover a lot of Siege and sometimes Call of Duty and FC 26, so make sure to leave a follow if you are enjoying with us now. Breach getting opened up. And pressure looks like it'll amount. Looks like I was right about no other game matching that Castaways match that we had to cast. I mean, the pleasure of being able to see that go back and forth was amazing. Now, first blood goes in the favor of Lavish. Not really what you want to see, especially when you're fighting a man down. A minute burned off the clock here, and you'll hear Koimetsu putting the shield in the area of the Blackbeard, meaning a frag will have to be used to get rid of this one player. Or could bounce it off the door, or like to put it. Players have taken control of upstairs, but you can't see through that smoke, so it is damage control time. It's time to play safe and secure. Verticality being established, and the only C4 that could possibly find a pick is sitting in security, where a player is patiently waiting for the backstab that right now does not exist. Second frag comes in, will rid of a good majority of the utility. Wants to be able to pop that gas pipe when he walks in, but completely on account of the fact that the verticality is opened up on the entrance of yellow. Free fire does not connect. And this is the major disadvantage of playing with a man down. So many different anchor spots in this map are just unheld. Now Bleed lands a C4, but West gets one with the phone, and the team topple Basement as now their lead, or their tied up lead, is completely taken away from them as Lavish reestablish. They can continue to grow it from here if they keep playing the similar style of Siege. Basement will be on the chopping block yet again, and I don't really know how to feel about this game. It's one of those that just kind of make you yawn. But I guess we'll get over it. A little disappointing that this will be the ending to our night, but any day with Siege competition, you never really know what'll happen, so you kind of just have to take what you're given. And from there, you do what everybody else tells you to do, and you know what that is? It's to cope. We'll head to the same site, same roster, as hopefully they're able to find first blood without losing a good amount of players the earlier stages of that round. Traps are these players' best friends, considering they're a player down. Kind of have to use traps in every single situation now, so you don't lose unneeded real estate. These Lavish players, hungry as sharks, looking to all get their own kills. One player may not seem like a lot, but when you're either a player, you know how it feels to be a person down so early on into the round. It allows players, especially the attackers, an extra minute or two to do their pre-work, to find out where a player could be roaming, lurking, how the setup is composed so they can find a flawless execute. First call goes out. Executive decision could be made to eat the phone, so you no longer have to be called for the remainder of the round, and it looks like that will be the idea. Vigil no longer has access to the cameras, and Dokkaebi no longer can call the Vigil. Damage is done, but Vigil walks out of that interaction with the upper hand as you've shredded off a good amount of HP off of the Thermite. I'm pretty sure that happened on the main breach, so it's actually with the attackers to win out on the interaction, but it's LST to react and rid of West at the range. A pick that you really need, especially when you're fighting down a body, but instantly the Thermite reestablishes and gets that refrag. Now a minute burned off the clock, and these defenders continue to lose their utility in and throughout the round. T4 connects with absolutely nothing, just short of the pillar, but that SMG-11, don't get it mistaken, will drop who gets on the receiving end of it. Snake might have gotten a kill, but Bleed will bleed your team dry of any real estate pressure that you might have had. A 2-on-2, and Bleed has sought refuge behind Red Car that will give him real estate to work with for the remainder of the round. 90 seconds remain, and these players circle yellow, no case in hand, and are going to have to deal with the pests as well. Not what you want to see. If Bleed decides to deploy a jammer right here, will no longer be exposed by the Soliton radar. All JK has to do is fall back down to the site and provide that distraction. By using that Jester, you can continue to draw these attackers away. Jammer not placed down, so Soliton Raider will come into effect into the benefit of the attackers now. Slowly shaving off his health, but Bleed will swing back with a shot of his own. Mikey getting closer and closer, but can't win out that interaction. Verticality trying to be established, but not in a timely fashion. Your teammate will get absolutely demolished while you wait. And Vigil, it's too easy. They'll strike back with a round of their own, tying things up, and this should not be a close game whatsoever. But Lavish continue to struggle. A game for the ages if it's way to win this. Never really see teams that are down in a 5v4 permanently win out games like this, but if they were to, it'd be absolutely hilarious. And the pressure continues to amount onto Lavish because, guys, I don't care who you're playing against. 4v5 should never be lost. And now they're still losing their overall grasp of the pacing on this game. To continue to find different areas and avenues to pursue, but things will quiet down. And first blood reestablished by Koimetsu, but instantly refragged out. I seem a little out of it. It's because I am, to be honest. I don't really know what's going on here, what the pacing is. I mean, I understand the damage control being done by Wei, where being aggressive is their really only avenue to even things out before the pressure continues to amount in the site. So, to a certain extent, I understand, but still, things have to be executed better from Lavish if they want to be able to find joy. If they lose another round, I have causes for concern, especially on Consulate, but it is in their favor that they get to defend in the second half. Given a second chance at life, JK bursts into the room, but also just gets burst fired off and slumped as he tries to get aggressive and get that control back for his team, but instead will do the complete opposite and reverse the amount of pressure, as now there's a two-man advantage for Lavish. What they have to do is continue to wait to pull that pressure on. They have more than enough time to be able to continue to do so. Twitch Drone continues to provide this information as it slowly trickles into the site. Now Wei looking to find something. Bleed was the MVP of last round and looking to continue to find something here, but being pushed out at this distance. No C4, no utility to rely on. It could be a little disastrous. I'm really surprised these guys haven't brought Goyo yet. First call comes in. Need to be able to look for something here. Getting closer to a minute left on the clock, and they're very passive about this, which I do like. But passiveness with no plan could lead to disaster, but right now it'll open up. Thermite will go down to that Razor Bloom, rezzed up almost instantly. Last call will be utilized onto Bleed. He'll try to isolate, but Jake prevails. Rids of the player, and now they've grabbed up that lead yet again as they head into their last attacking round. Lavish could have been concerned about what they have up, but they'll get the job done, and Wei need to find a different idea on how to stop this team from advancing. We'll head on over to the same site, as they really have no option but to try the staple sites. It's either basement or CEO. If you try holding a tertiary site, I mean, the floors will be ripped up from below you. You're just going to have so much pressure both from below and above that it's not really worth it to do so. I'm excited to see what the idea will be here, but no shield ops at all. It's a good read from Wei to kind of alleviate that pressure that could have been if a shield op were to be on the board, but still not really having a jolly old time trying to find some form of, let's say, pressure onto the site. What a wide turn of events is just what I'm thinking at the back of my head. Like, you see the last game, max regulation, round for round. These teams going nuclear. to a 4v5, and somehow the team has 4 getting 2. Kind of crazy how things go full circle, but looks like it'll be a little bit of a quicker entry to this team, as admin has been a very bad choke point for them right now, but they look like they are applying the pressure right as every time they've had to deal with a player getting aggressive. Yeah, they might have lost the body, but they usually get it as a refrag a couple of seconds later. Let's see if they can continue that trend. Now time just runs down on these players as they will touch ground into admin, and one will progress up a lot faster than they'll anticipate. So hopefully Snake doesn't catch them on the back heel. Otherwise, this could be disastrous a lot earlier, but the Razor Bloom will save them from that Russian surge of pressure. As time continues to run down on these players. Excited to see how this will play out, especially with all of this pressure beginning to build up onto that backside of the site. Good idea to do damage control now, otherwise you might find yourself in a little bit of an unfortunate predicament. Lots left to do, but this gunfight from the Aruni could establish something great, but no. JK now becomes your next line of defense, sitting in a corner with no ability to be called by the Dokkaebi for the remainder of the round. Might have lost health, but in the long run it might serve beneficial to this team. Time slowly ticking down against them, and again, no form of denial in terms of smoke grenades or Goyo canisters. There's still a lot left to do with not really a lot to rely on. For some reason, Koimetsu hasn't used a single Surya Gate as well, which you would think if you're down in bodies, using utility would be the most important thing to do. Denari continues to go back and forth, but Wei finally lands something onto the head of the Thermite, reestablishing a lead, tying things up. Take the olive branch where you can find it, but it's instantly reestablished, but a refrag. 2 Razor Blooms have now gotten Mikey, and not too lucky the second time around as Lavish tied up yet again, and they're struggling to break down the roadblocks that present each and every time they try to approach the site. Bleed holding a double cross with LST, meaning Koimetsu's responsible for the swinging from admin and Spiral all at once, leaving a bigger gap. The shotgun missed out. Panic on the player's face, but calm and composed as ever as Alejandro breaks into the sight lines, gets the first, the second, decides to shoot the body as he covers his teammate, and Bleed is taking care of Jake. Some toxicity, but the lead is established, even heavier and fortified, as Lavish are living it up lavishly as they take a 4-2 split. Curious as to why he shot his body, but there's some things I guess we'll never know. Some toxicity is always, it's always nice to see some banter. A good backstab, as you can see, putting all of your forces onto one door won't work out for you, especially when you're one player down. Now Lavish are given the better choice of Consulate, given the opportunity to now defend, in a way having to attack with a man down. I wish them the sole best. This might be a little disastrous for them to deal with. Energy at an all-time low for this game is from a 5v5 to a 5v4. Really interested on to see what the idea here really is for Wei. Didn't really imagine that. Not too ecstatic to be playing with a player down, so interested to see how they can play this up. all quiet on the western front, as I imagine the main idea for Way here is to just do damage control, just shave off the utility that they can deal with. Although it doesn't really look like a lot, to be honest. Smoke is the biggest problem they'll have to deal with. Maybe their utility won't be used to the best of their ability due to Wamai's just being scattered all over the site, but smoke could be the biggest issue. As of now, first shoddy shell will land onto Koimetsu, taking the player down to just below critical damage. Have now absolutely no leverage over yellow, as they'll have one player walking on eggshells for the remainder of this round. And Lavish are just kicked up in the site, really no reactions. There's no urge to roam or get aggressive, as you already have a naturally born man advantage as the round starts. JK now looking to play out for his team. Would have had a kill on a silver platter, but it won't present, as the Warden will now strike on the second attempt as Mikey rids of JK, and in the meantime there'll be a refrag as Bleak gets rid, but of two. A long-lived advantage, as it was 2 players down, and now they'll even up temporarily, as the 3v2 is where we kind of start off in the round, but just 1 player higher. 70 seconds remaining, and it looks like Spiral's the main idea here, as Way have the idea to do something that they can backstab correctly, but the player that is pivoted onto long desk could be sitting at a critical position in this round, especially with that TCSG. Now Bleed rids of Jake, now evening things out into a 2v2 situation. No possible way they can win this. Almost a drop shot hitfire to win out that gunfight. Cade, how have you not won this? Hello? LS Eagles for the knife after he's realized that not a single shot is connected with the TCSG, but the advantage is still held up by the team, leaving just Bleed in a 1v2. If you want somebody to win this out, it's him. We'll get out of dodge before he loses that health. Could decide to call the Cade out, but the pre-fire will do the job. Needs to ace to complete. Has no health to work with. One Toxic Babe lands on his doorstep. He'll fall, and West gets the easiest kill of his career. Went for the knife. I'm so confused on why he was doing that. It's quite intriguing, but I guess it gets the job done. Rounds are a little bit closer than I had anticipated, but in the end, Lavish continue to build up a repertoire on their lead to end this game out as fast as humanly possible, put this team out their misery, as 4v5, to be honest, as close as I would have imagined. Oh man, I'm now seeing the Discord chat kind of just light up with team confused on why bodies are being shot. And you know what? That's the question I'm also asking. Why are bodies being shot, especially in a 4v5? These questions continue to present themselves. I would say I'm curious to see how this ends out, but looks like we'll find ourselves on match point right after this round. As time continues to run down slowly but surely onto these players, and again, Way are forced to attack. They either have to get really aggressive or really passive, and honestly, both ideas don't really work out for them considering the amount of pressure they're going to have to put up with. But Koimetsu will find the gap to hit. Rids of the utility, almost gets that second kill, but that TCSG is just not a weapon you want to mess with. Bleed hits the ground, and doesn't really have enough to deal with. Now No gets rid of Bleed, leaving just a 1v3 as the last line of defense. LST has so much left to do. Health running so low. It's unfortunate, but match point for Lavish is established. Really am lost for words at this point in time. But I guess this is how this will play out. Match point established for Lavish as they continue to just kind of glide through this map. Not really a large contest as they know they have the real estate to work with them. All they got to do is pull up utility in sight and then peel off and play as aggressive as they can off site, and it establishes some kills. So quite interesting for them to deal with and see how they'll continue to adapt. But I mean, I kind of have a feeling we'll know the answer to that as they continue to force mistakes each and every round. Let's see how they continue to do. All quiet on the western front as JK looks to continue to clear out this map by themselves. Lots really left to do, but that backstab is exactly what you need. You need to continue to find those picks and make these gunfights as unfair as possible. If you can pick these players off one by one, they'll find as much joy as possible, but Jake will get one before he'll fall. Now, hello? Hello? Headset seemingly forgotten at home, as that kill may be a deciding factor in this round, as it is a pseudo. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna say 3v2, but there we go. Back up to a 2-all. All players right now healthy. Ace has done his job before he's fallen. Breach is opened up. Nobody occupying the roadside as there is a castle on it. You have vertical control and Bleed having to isolate the gunfight. JK hits the ground. Alejandro knows this, but doesn't react before the Aruni will fall. Leaving both players in B chassis. One to put the case down, the other to isolate a gunfight. Forcing him to get off the case plant. Good idea. You know where they are. Seemingly audio is being tossed off. Maybe a false comm being sent in through the chat. And now there's a minute to make things proper. But time continues to run down. A minute left as JK gets rid of Alejandro, and 6-3 as the scoreline is finally. Way can strike back with a round of their own. Very impressive for a team that doesn't have a 5 stack. I mean, they're just continuing to apply the pressure round in and round out. Look at them go. Match point remains for Lavish as they continue to try different things, as we need to continue to find these individual moments of prowess. A good job to do it last round, but still Lots of siege for them to come back from. And I don't think we'll see a Cinderella story like we did last match. All quiet again. As I'm surprised these players haven't utilized Zofia, knowing how much utility she'll provide. Is a lot of pressure that you can use with just one operator, being 3 concussions and 1 explosive. Now Koimetsu hits the ground running as access into the building has been established. Now you need to do something with it. To establish and continue to push off of it. It's all about how much pacing you have. Minute 45 on the clock and almost meeting his death, but Mikey still alive to fight, still alive to find joy, but still no bueno as now these players, again, just continue to treat this map like it's just eggshells that they're walking on. Mikey about to have a lot of pressure to deal with, but is going to decide to focus on the players that sit on Spiral instead and will pay off immensely as they'll double down the lead for his team. It's a 2-man advantage, but in the meantime, Wei will establish a refrag, but not onto the same player. Alejandro will fall. Now Bleed forced to help his team out, but a little late to the reaction as mid-EMP, his teammate will get pump action in the face. 4v2, beautiful shot by Koimetsu, who just takes the head off of the Warden, leaving us in a 3v2 situation. The calls will come out. No, though, just losing so much health if he decides to eat the phone call, but won't be as much if you decide to fall. As Bleed has opened up the site, leaving Jake to do a lot. I'm excited to see what they'll be able to do. Now, Koimetsu has a lot left to do to approach the site and try to plant, but the C4 being burned out works out in his favor. Now it's a pseudo 1v1, these 2 players, one that covers the plant and the one that has to help the second defender. Well, that goes through. We could find a critical part of this map. This time continues to run down slowly but surely. As VX is being ISO'd, but Bleed will win that gunfight regardless of what will happen, leaving just Jake to do something. The shotgun at that range will do absolutely nothing, though. Bleed, the MVP of this match. I mean, half of the executes from this team has just solely relied on this one player as he brings his game closer and closer. Surely not, right, Lavish? Starting to struggle round by round as they look to continue to go back and forth, but Wei aren't going down without a fight. could be possibly the most ridiculous comeback if we see something from these two teams. But I mean, look at how they're going right now. Way currently doing the impossible. Everything stacked against them. Could just continue to apply the pressure in so many different ways, but the way that they're doing things looks to continue to apply so much pressure that they're able to win this. I'm sure that players will be losing their minds. So much left to do for Lavish, and for a team that was supposed to be cruising by is now having a hard time dealing with the pressure that's starting to immensely build up against them. Koimetsu being the first interaction through catering, you could just decide to chuck a C4 at him, but your C4 is so far away, that player is isolated right now, so you're just going to have to make do with what you have, and that'll be a 12 gauge in the close range. But it won't even be enough as Koimetsu opens it up and ties things. The flash to isolate your next gunfight. Player with that C4 gets closer and gets ready to throw it out, but he gets stuck. The only C4 these players have to offer falls apart. And live things continue to go as they know exactly where each and every player is. VX wins his gunfight. Now they know there's somebody behind vending that they're going to have to do damage control on to mitigate the circumstances of losing that Ash. Super shorty at 20 meters range is an interesting idea, but nothing will come of the sort. A minute left on the clock, and Logic Bomber. Now the Jago payload will go onto VX's front doorstep, so they'll temporarily be immobilized, but it won't matter as Mikey just decides to lead the charge and walk right through with a shoddy shell to LST's head to get rid of that player as well. A 4v2 as now 40 seconds remain, and Way need a miracle if they want to find a way into sight. Like a damn poet. 30 seconds on the clock, and it's enough for a player to decide to go over to yellow. Koimetsu being taunted while Bleed rotates completely around the map. And does anybody know that he's doing this as Koimetsu gets rid of the players that would be closest to Bleed? They'll get that frag, but by then he's already fully into split, looking to find his own, almost feeding him two, but it'll be ring around the rosy. Happy feet from Alejandro, saving his life as he'll 180 the player right off of the head holes. A little too close for comfort, but that's Lavish on a 7-4 victory, and what a game that is. Not at all what I expected here tonight, but unfortunately that brings us to the end of our broadcast. To end it off with a 4v5 and then a forfeit, I'm just torn on what we've seen here today. But at the end of the day, I've had a great time. Thank you guys for having me. I've been doing everything behind the scenes. I'm SiNO. I was your guys' caster. I hope you guys enjoyed. That first game was a lot more anticipating than the second, but it is what it is. If you missed all of the action, the VOD will go up on YouTube very soon. It will be SiNO VODs, that is the channel. If you are in the SSL server, it will be posted there for you to watch as well. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a great rest of your night. Follow and subscribe to support this channel if you can, if you did enjoy, because we keep our ads at the lowest so you guys can get the possible optimal viewer experience. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.